All right, it is 2 o'clock. My name is Shelley Reed. I am the manager of the Legal Services National Technology Assistance Project. I welcome you to our community, and I am very excited to have members of the communications community here with us today to give us demonstrations of their product. I think it's going to be an interesting session, and it's an experiment to see if it's something that will continue in the future. For our second hour, we'll have an open forum where the community can share their problems, complaints, concerns, constructive criticism, and lessons learned from different kinds of communication platforms. And so I'm going to turn it over to Michael Hernandez of Just Tech, who has coordinated this for us, and we're going to get started.
Great. Hi, everyone. Thanks, Shelley, for that intro. Michael Hernandez from Just Tech, essentially just helping LSNTAP put this together, for the community. Amy Gerber, who's on the call as well, she is a phone system broker and knows all the major players and has great contacts. So I reached out to her as well for assistance. So between the two of us, we were able to get, the 5 providers that are on today. There was an additional vendor that was supposed to be on today, and unfortunately, due to illness, had to sort of back out, sort of at the last minute. But yeah, with Amy's help, able to sort of put this together. We're 10 minutes each vendor is not a lot of time to show you everything, but I think enough to, potentially pique your interest, and hopefully, reach out to any of the providers that you are, interested in. Shelley will have information for each of the vendors, including Amy, on the LSNTAP website, in their company database, in terms of providers. If you want to do schedule a full-length demo, again, 10 minutes is not a long time. They're going to do their best to cram in what they think you might be most interested in. It's a good opportunity for you to see, compare what you might be doing now to what the look and feel is, including features of what you might see today. I think with Amy's help, we've got a good range of providers, including Fusion, who integrates with, all the vendors generally integrate with Microsoft Teams, but Fusion uses, Microsoft Teams platform. With the move to Office 365 in, the last 5 years for most organizations, and, the heavily use of Teams since COVID started, I know that's of interest within the community as well. But you've also got platforms like GoTo and Zoom, who include the meeting licenses as well with the phone system. So just a ton of options out there, and really good options as well. So look forward to having this call, and look forward to the question and answers at 3 o'clock after the presentations. So with that said, go to Hiron. If you want to share your screen, you could get started on your presentation. We're really going to stick to that 10-minute limit, so do your best to stick to it. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Mike, and thank you everyone for joining. Today I'll be talking about, my name is Hiran Patel. I'm a solution consultant with GoTo. I've been here for 15 years, and today I'll be briefly talking about GoTo Connect, the all-in-one cloud communication system. As Mike mentioned, during pandemic, a lot of companies evolved to add more functionality, where GoTo Connect was purpose-built for cloud PBX. Right? You might know GoTo, you might not know GoTo. So just to give you a brief history of what GoTo is, we've been around for quite some time. You might know some of these logos. So if you don't know GoTo, I'm sure you have used our products in the past. These are some of the products that we have, and during the past several years, we've been consolidating all the items, and now we created the 2 main platform, one UCaaS, CCaaS side, which is GoTo Connect, which I'll be showing you, and then we also have remote support and management product, which is GoTo Resolve. Now, We do sell into all sizes and all the verticals across the globe. So it doesn't matter whether it's a 5-seat license or a 500-seat license. We're able to make a sell GoToConnect into any verticals. Now, GoToConnect, it is an all-in-one solution. It does, as Michael mentioned, it includes GoToMeeting. It is a phone application that can be utilized using your desk phone, using your soft phone application or desktop application that you can install, or your mobile application. So you don't, a lot of our new clients, they don't even purchase phones or they don't even use your computer. They simply use their mobile app to make calls and receive calls. And it is at the user side that I'll be showing you today. Admin functionality, one of the greatest differentiator with GoTo is our admin tool, which is very easy to use and it's all-in-one solution. So if you were to go with other products of GoTo, you only log in once and manage everybody from one admin center. And the user interface, the ease of use is another differentiator, and of course our support. And the ease of use comes in really handy because you need that adoption, right? When you move to a new vendor or a new application, you want your employees to make sure that they can use it easily, that it is adoptable very quickly so that you can start getting your return on investment. And all the functionality that I've shown you, we have over 100 plus different functionalities that are all part of one license. So we won't ask you to pay additional if you want a certain type of functionality. We also have an integration that Michael mentioned, Office 365, right? Microsoft is giving that away. We have an integration with Microsoft Teams. So you get best of both worlds. You continue using your Microsoft Teams, but you also get to use all those 100 features and functionalities of GoToConnect. And you never have to open a GoToConnect application. Once your account is set up, you can send, call, or receive calls right from your Microsoft Teams application. Right. So without further ado, I'm just going to show you the product itself on the user side. So this is what the user side looks like. It's a very simple login. You log in once and you have access to your phone. I can make a call. I can receive a call. I can see anybody within my PBX if they're online, if they're available, if they're busy, if they've enabled their do not disturb. When I make a call or receive a call, so I'm going to just call myself. History. There we go. So I'll receive a call. So I'm logged into my desktop application. I'll answer the call. Let me mute it so we don't get an echo. Now, once I receive a call, I have some options, right? I can park the call. I can put it on hold. I can add other people to this call if I wanted to. I can transfer. So receptionist who takes a call, I can simply transfer a call to someone else. So I'm going to say, okay, I want to transfer a call to Ash because he's available. Well, I have now several different options. I can say I want to direct transfer to Ash. That means the call will directly go to Ash, or I can do warm transfer. So I can ask Ash, hey, I have my calling. Would you like to take the call? And if he says, no, you know what? Can you send a call to my voicemail? I can send a call to his voicemail as well. Right. And all this is available on your desktop application as well as the mobile application. And I'll show you what mobile application looks like as well. Let's hang up. GoToConnect also includes messaging. So if you have a DID associated with your account, you can send and receive text messages, and that includes MMS, and so it includes videos as well as pictures, not just the text. You can also send messages within your PBX to other users. Very easy to send, receive messages. As Mike mentioned, GoToMeeting is part of your GoToConnect license, so you don't have to pay additional fee. And of course, your contacts, you can import contacts from your external directory, or you can add new contacts. And then once contacts are added, you can see their status. Now, I'm going to show you the GoToConnect app. As I mentioned, a lot of our new clients simply use GoToConnect app. And here's my GoToConnect app. You can see the look and feel is exactly the same as the web app. So there is very little learning curve to use an app. The great thing about using an app is this app is installed on my personal phone. But when I make a phone call using the GoToConnect app, the other party will see my go-to number and not the personal number. Same thing when I send a text message, right? Now, let's say when you're making a call, you want to make your call anonymous. I can say hide caller ID. So I don't have to compromise even my work number when I wanted to make a call. I can also have multiple different phone numbers associated with my call. In this case, this particular device, I don't have that association. But if I did have it, I can select what my outgoing caller ID would be, so that if I'm calling Amy, I wanted to use a different caller ID, but when I call Mike, I wanted to use a different caller ID, just so that Amy knows this number and she'll pick up that number. If she doesn't recognize the number, she may not pick up my phone number. So that's built into the app. Again, you have your messages down here. You have your GoToMeeting, so you can create GoToMeeting, join GoToMeeting, start GoToMeeting right from the phone application, and your contacts. When I install this app, system says, would you like to have access to your personal contact? And I said yes, because GoToConnect allows you to dial up to 52 countries for free. And I have family members in Canada, UK, and India, and I use GoTo app to call them because it's free for me. When I travel abroad, I take my phone. All I need is internet connection. And as soon as I can connect to internet, I can start taking calls, start making calls as if I've never left the United States. Right. So that's the advantage of mobile app. And like I said, lots of our clients, newer clients who are signing up, they don't use anything but the mobile application. You also get faxing capability. So every user has a fax capability, and fax comes into, so whenever a user receives a fax, it is an e-fax, and when they receive a fax by default, it will go to their account, but you can change that to say, send this PDF to my different email address. Or if you have a common fax, you can send it to a distribution list, so multiple people will get access to those faxing, right? I'm just checking my time, I got a few minutes. Right, a couple other items, just wanted to mention, let's say you do have a desk phone available. As a user, I can go into this device button. So let me actually switch to another user where I can actually modify those, I can do those buttons on the phone. So I can set up speed dials right from the cell phone application. So I don't have to be in front of the phone, go through those clunky setups. It's very easy to add a button, select what you want it to be, set it up. It will sync with your phone, and now your phone will have that speed dial set up automatically. You can set up emergency location. So when I dial 911 from my phone number, the 911 authorities will know exactly where I'm calling from, what number they can reach me if I get disconnected. Find me, follow me. This is another feature that used to be very important in the days, where if I'm not at my desk, we'll send a call to my home or my mobile phone. But with the mobile app, this doesn't, you can use it, but with the mobile app, you can take your call anywhere in the world where you have access to internet, right? Let me just go back to there we go. Again, even in the software application, when I'm dialing out, if I have multiple phone numbers, I can select what my outgoing caller ID would be, or I can hide my caller ID. So just like the software application or the mobile application I showed you, exact same functionality. There is no difference between the mobile app or the software application, and they will sync with each other. So if you make a call or send a text message using a mobile app and you log into your web app, you will see that message, you will see that history in the web application as well, and vice versa, including your desk phone. Right. So that's what I wanted to show you. In short, obviously there are a lot more functionality that we can cover, but it is very easy. The point that I wanted to make it across is ease of use, and we've been around for quite some time, and this applications are purpose-built for its purpose, purpose-built for cloud PBX and the collaboration, which is the GoToMeeting. Right, so GoToConnect is a combination of two great products. One used to be called Jai, you might know that. Another would be GoToMeeting, and we combine them into one product to create this new platform. It's not a new product. The product's been around for quite some time. It's just that we combined it into one platform to give it to our customer as a one offering. Okay. And that's my 10 minutes. Let me stop sharing.
Thank you, Hiram. That was great. Really appreciate that. So we have Jordan. Jordan, you should be able to share your screen as the co-host.
There we go.
And I'll just jump in and quickly introduce Zoom. Thank you for having us, Michael. Jordan will be leading the presentation today. He's a UCAS advisor here at Zoom. I myself am a sales leader, and we're thrilled to be amongst some of our peers here to have this opportunity. And with that, I'll let Jordan take it away.
Thanks, Stephanie. This is fun. Let's get into it. So everyone knows Zoom as the worldwide leader in video, but most people don't know is we are a full communication platform. Today, we're going to be focusing on phone, but as your business expands, as your needs grow, Zoom will be able to grow with you. And that includes everything from contact center to outfitting your conference rooms, digital signage, workspace reservation. But we are here to talk about phone. So let's talk about Zoom Phone. Most people don't know, we've been around now for about 4 years. We are the fastest growing telephony company on record. We just hit 6 million seats. The industry has spoken. G2 has named us a overall leader in customer satisfaction. This chart here to the right is the Gartner Magic Quadrant for UCaaS, and this is from 2022. And why would I show you something where we're not a leader? Well, the other people in this space have been doing this for 3-4 times as long as us. In our first year of eligibility, we were actually a leader in this Magic Quadrant. Now, to become a leader, we have to have excellent VoIP quality in the toughest network conditions. So this was an independent study done by Wayne House, where if you have network issues, packet loss, jitter, all that fun jargon, Zoom's voice quality remains good. For these reasons, we have been able to deploy Zoom Phone to some of the largest enterprise businesses in the world. And we also have a very, very strong presence in the legal field as well. So let's get into a day in the life of being on Zoom. The Zoom application lives in on your computer. It's going to live on your mobile device. We're also going to support physical desk phones. What you're seeing here is our calendar integration. So if we're using Outlook, Exchange, O365, all of your calendar events can live here. Included with our solution is our persistent chat, our team chat. So this may be very familiar and similar to using Teams. What this is one-to-one and one-to-many messaging. The big thing about this, it's active presence, meaning hover your mouse over anyone in your organization, see their active presence, and do an instant chat, meet, SMS, or call, but also create different channels, right? This is the Atlanta office channel that I'm in. There's 209 of us in here. I can press this button, do an all hands, interrupt everyone's day. I won't do that. In our messaging, we have threading. Why that's important is there's 13 replies here. I don't have time to read all of that. So what I can do is summarize this with our AI companion. And then I can also use AI to help me reply to that meeting as well. Now, we are here to talk about phone, so let's talk about phone. This is the Zoom soft phone. This is going to work exactly how you'd imagine, right? I can type in a number, I can use my mouse. No longer the days, though, do I need to look at a piece of paper to find somebody's extension number. I can just type in their name. I can see their active presence again and do that quick click to call directly from here. Now, below is my outbound caller ID. I have the ability to quickly hide that, show my main number, really any number within my system. As an end user, I have all of my call history here to the left. So my inbound calls, my outbound calls, my missed calls. I can do a quick click to call back. Every user will have their own voicemail, voicemail to email, as well as voicemail transcription. And then last but not least, we will give you the ability to send SMS and MMS text messages through your direct dial number. Now, when a call comes in, what does that behavior look like, feel like? Well, let's go through it real quick. So as an end user, I can decide what device, when a call is transferred to me, or again, someone calls my direct dial, I can have it ring on my computer, I can have it ring on my mobile. You may not see it or hear it, but that's a small desk phone behind me. So I'm going to go ahead and answer it on my computer. Now, when we're on an active call, we have some hotkeys here. Pretty self-explanatory, but of course, the ability to mute, add calls, like a 3-way call. I can actually conference in up to 10 individuals at once. Probably a big one here is transfer. So how do we transfer? I click on transfer. I can then type in an extension number, 10-digit external phone number, or again, just the individual's name, click on them. And then I have that ability to do a warm transfer. Hey, I've got so-and-so. Are you able to take the call? Great. direct transfer, just send it directly over to them, or transfer directly to their voicemail. Now, the call is on hold because I'm in a Zoom meeting on a phone call, right? So the audio is in the meeting, not on the phone call, but it's a little bit more than just a call hold. Right there, it's sitting on hold, living right here on my lines key. I can go to my mobile device. I can then go to phone, lines, and flip that call. That's going to work from a desk phone as well. So if you're sitting at your computer and you need to run out with one click of a button, you can easily take that on the road with you. Last but not least, what's native and unique to Zoom is this button right here. This takes any active phone call and instantly turns it into a Zoom video meeting. Very weird angle of me, so let's end that. Cool. Now, part of Zoom's ecosystem is that we integrate with over 2,000 pieces of software natively, one of them being FactSipit. So inside of the Zoom client, I have the ability to send and receive faxes, view all of my faxes here. All of these fun buttons on top, what do? Well, we can have your Outlook email living here, your Outlook calendar living here as well. Now, of course, we are using Teams. A lot of us are. We can always grow into a solution like this, but Zoom does have a native plugin inside of Teams as well. So we can continue to do all of our chat, collaboration, maybe even video inside of Teams. We hope you use Zoom, but we can also take advantage of Zoom Phone and have that inside of our Teams environment. And that is what I have for everyone today. I blew past that 10-minute mark, so I'll go ahead and end it there.
You're muted, Michael.
Sorry about that. Thank you, Jordan. Thank you, Stephanie, for that. That was great. Glad to be able to have you on and show everyone the Zoom platform. Up next is Dialpad. And I believe Michelle Erman, you'll be piloting that.
Yes, I am. Let me just trying to share what's going on here. Nope, it's not letting me. I could just speak to it. Okay, so I brought on one of my favorite SEs, Chase, who's also he's going to do the demo for everybody. But just to introduce you to Dialpad, if you don't know much about us, what we consider our platform, we call it TrueCast, meaning everything is in one bundle. Our contact center, our messaging are in our UCaaS. So everything comes together and all our features are Dialpad by Dialpad. We're not using any third parties to bring them in. We have built them. We have developers that support them and a huge back office that helps to train on these solutions and information that you would ever need. So here I'm going to give it off to Chase and he's going to do a quick demo for you guys. And please put your questions into the chat.
Thank you, Michelle.
Perfect. I will dive right into this. Just want to make sure, can everybody see my screen?
Not yet. It was giving me a hard time. We don't use Zoom, sorry. Not sorry. Not. We have our own video platform.
I'm going to have to quit and reopen. Give me 1 second.
As you can tell, we don't use Zoom. I've used it on my phone.
So while Chase is coming in, we have had a couple questions in the chat. If anybody has a quick answer to any of those, but then we want to give Chase back his time as well.
I think he had to update his permissions.
So a couple of great questions around analytics and call center, contact center products. And I do agree that the contact center products in the past have been around the sales team, right? Integration with Salesforce and Dynamic and Lead. But what we're seeing is this renaissance around every contact center, every vertical. For instance, Dialpad, you might talk about this today, where as a call comes in, and the client says a couple of keywords. How can you help me with this? Is this actually legal? Wouldn't it be great to get a pop-up based upon those keywords to the agent to help them with that back and forth Q&A, especially in this work from home world? When I was in the office, if I received the question, I looked to my left and Michelle helped me out. Hey, Michelle, how should I answer this? Now I work from home. I got my dog on my right. I got my cat on my left. I'm on an island. Wouldn't it be great to get that assist that pops up based upon those keywords? And we're seeing that as a very powerful tool for contact centers of all sizes. The other thing that does, and I'm still buying time, Jordan, let me know.
I think Chase is back.
Chase is back?
Let's
Okay.
give him a chance to share.
All right.
So hold your thought, Mike, and we'll come back to you.
Thanks for that, Mike. Giving us a nice little filibuster there. Can everybody see my screen now?
Yep. Yes. Thanks, Chase.
Perfect. So let me move some of this down. So welcome everyone today to Dialpad. On the left side of our screen, this is just the Dialpad desktop application. We can run both on Mac and Windows, and we do have a browser version that feels the same exact way. Over on the right side of our screen, just running Dialpad today on my mobile client, today running it on my iPhone, can as well be ran on Android devices and again, accessed in the browser. And then anybody who does want to utilize a traditional desk phone, I myself have a fancy paperweight in the form of a Polycom 250 on the desk right next to me. And one of the great things about Dialpad is we have full feature parity and device agnostic capabilities across all of your different interfaces. And simply meaning what is happening across one device is live and happening across all of your other devices. So you'll see when I toggle my do not disturb, this will in fact happen across my mobile and that Polycom as well. So think of things like flexibility. If my Wi-Fi goes down, I can seamlessly transition over to my LTE service over on my mobile, or vice versa. If I'm coming back into office, want to sit in front of my computer, which is often how I usually do this, I just switch it over to my client over on my application. But what we're looking at right now is my personal inbox. This is where any new communication shows up to my personal number. And we break it down for you to a nice, concise level up at the top. So we have all of your e-faxing, your SMS and MMS capabilities. When we jump over into your voicemails not only have the audio recordings, but we also have the transcription and automatically send these to your email. Then, like Michelle mentioned, we are a truly unified communications platform. So I have a little bit of noise over in the left side of my screen. We have our threads as our Slack type of internal collaboration tool. We have our coaching teams, which are focused for our AI sales teams for outbounding. We have those call centers as well. Also with our UCAS offering, we have some ring group, hunt group type of functionality, which we label our departments. One of the great things is I can be as a member of any of these departments or groups that I have, depending on my license. And then we all have our own independently siloed inbox based on these different groups as well. So for outbounding, up in the top left, we have our faxing, our meetings, our SMS and MMS, and our phone. And we can choose where this is coming from. So right now it's coming on behalf of my line, but if I want to outbound on behalf of one of those queues, I can as well. And so for outbounding, just know a name, an extension. If we have some favorites, those usually show up down here. And then we have those presence indicators associated with your internal users as well. So the other end of that, we'll just play the role of a customer calling in. Let me type over to my personal line. And while I do this, we can front end this with an IVR system, do a dial by name directory. We can go directly to your agents in some sort of logic. But right now, somebody just has my personal number calling in. We'll answer that call. Now I've muted myself on our customer side so we don't get a whole bunch of echoing. And one of the first things you'll notice is going to be the live transcript auto-populating your screen over on the desktop application. And so this is one of the big differentiators with Dialpad. So each one of your communications have the ability to be transcribed and also recorded. So they're completely decoupled. I can just do a transcription. I can do just a recording. Or usually for my personal line, I have both of these turned off. And if I'm speaking something with one of my AEs, I tell them, hey, hold on, I'm going to turn on the AI so I can capture this information. So now that you have a live transcript, there's a few additional tools. So up at the top of our screen, the search dialpad function is my dialpad book of knowledge. So I come in here, I can type in any keyword, any participant, any name. Kind of think of it like your email. So at the beginning of the day, if you're going to try to search your email, you can easily type in any customizable search words. And this is just going to filter down those meetings, those calls and messages pertaining to these different topics. Also in the middle of our screen, when we connected with our customer, we have some CRM Lite functionality. So Dialpad will keep each one of your touch points with your customer and where this customer is happening. So right now we see the live call we're on, but as I start scrolling up, we see a little bit of our Dialpad GPT, Dialpad's large language model, in action. And so what this is actually doing is taking down our transcript and running it through our large language model and giving us a recap. So instead of listening to a 16-minute conversation or reading a 16-minute transcript, we know exactly what happened on this call, as well as we'll pull out any additional action items. Did I say I was going to follow up? Did I say I was going to send you some documents? Did I say you were going to email me? So any of those will easily get pulled out for your reps as well for each one of your communications. Now over on the right side of our screen, we do have an integration panel, so you can start seeing some integrations I have set up. So any additional notes that I would like to log to our customer for any additional reps to see when they come in contact with this client. Our Google Calendar, we can also integrate with Outlook. So aside from just Google, we see Google Calendar, documents, and emails. We can do the Microsoft side of this as well. And then scrolling down, we have things like our Salesforce, Zendesk, different CRMs that we have the ability to start doing auto logging capabilities to these different CRMs. Perfect. So also we do have the capability to live and breathe inside of Microsoft Teams, since a lot of people are Teams chefs. We do have our own application that we've embedded in an iframe inside of Microsoft Teams. So you simply just click over into the Dialpad app inside of Teams. This brings you into your small slimmed down version. So Teams in itself being a collaboration tool, we didn't want to have a lot of redundant tools there. So we've stripped out things like the meetings, the internal collaboration. We'll leave all that for Teams, but we've left the calling, the SMS and MMS components, and your own personal siloed inbox inside of that Teams environment for you. Things come over to Teams like your call recording and those transcription features as well. The last thing I had planned to leave you guys with is at the end of every single conversation, you can wrap up this call with a disposition as to what happened on this call, appointment set, do not call, voicemail left, ultimately with the goal of call tracking, running analytics over the volume of these calls. And then if at any time, if you want to revisit this call, you can open up the entire transcript. So if I need to drill into any of my communications, this is typically where our law offices find a lot of value. They can open up their transcript. They can see the exact time duration for billable hours. They can also come through and mark little important context for them over the right side of their screen. So I believe we are right around that time. So thank you, everybody. That was pretty much what I had to show today.
Thank you, Chase. Really appreciate that. Definitely good folks to see that. So a lot of Michaels on the call. Michael Fink will be presenting for Norcom Communications, which tied to the Mitel phone system.
Yeah. So I'm with Mitel. I'm senior systems engineer, senior sales engineer. And I was not going to get into, can you see my screen, by the way? You're okay?
Yep.
I wasn't going to get into PowerPoint presentations, but if you're not familiar with Mitel, Mitel is a full-blown enterprise communication solution. It's primarily premise, or it could be private cloud. It's not a public cloud offering. It's private cloud. You build it where you want it, or partners host it in Amazon or in Microsoft data centers, but you control the environment. It scales up to maybe 10 people in a small business environment, up to 130,000 users and higher. So depending on the solution. And just to show you, some companies, I've been out there already quite a bit, They still use phones. Our new lines are antimicrobial, so they don't catch a virus. They have Bluetooth in them on these three models here. They have Wi-Fi in them, so if you take it home, I have a phone that I just plug into my Wi-Fi at home, and boom, it comes right up. Totally secure. So there's lots of different ideas with desktops. But some people don't use phones. Some are on mobile. Some are on desks. So if I come over to my MyCollab client, which is here, this is a pretty powerful package. This runs on a desktop. I'm on a Mac. It'll run on Windows. It runs in a browser too, so it doesn't matter. I can run it as a desk phone. I can switch to soft phone, and now my calls will go out my computer with just this little checkbox, and not use the desk phone. So we've got presence, so I can see these are people that I talk to all the time. Blair's in the meeting. He's in Philadelphia. Sean's down in Tennessee. He's on the phone. But I can call them just by highlighting the icon, or if I want to chat with them, I can just chat. If I want to see their information, I can look at their contact information. If I want to do a one-on-one video with them, we just do a video session. We have built-in video conferencing on the platform. It's our own. It's tied back in. We run on backends in Amazon data centers and also in Google, especially when it comes to Google integrations with the contact center, Google AI. But I could see these are chats. They're persistent here as well. They stay put. I can come into phone and I can see my history. These are calls that I missed. These are my voicemails. If I have any voicemails, I listen to them all. But I can just play them, and everything is visual. So we've got visual voicemail there. We can bring in a video conference when I click on meetings. We also have the option to bring in third parties. So if you're running Zoom as production, there is an option to click on meetings and they'll open up the Zoom video. So there's different ways that we can work that. So this is the desktop client. If I bring over my, I had it running, it just timed out in my MacBook, but let me just bring it over again. It's coming. Come on. Here it is. It's on my other screen. So bring this iPhone over here, and here's my MyCollab client on my iPhone. Let's bring it here. And you'll see it's exactly the same capabilities. I've got my chats here. I've got my contact information, my phone calls, my missed. If I put myself, and I can change my state. So if I'm in the office now, if I put myself in a meeting here, it'll show up in a meeting here on the desktop, and my phone's just lit up all red that I'm in the meeting. And if I go back to available, I just put myself in the office. You can tie that to your Outlook calendar to go into different options. And when you're in a meeting in Outlook, this will automatically change to in a meeting on the browser. If I take a call in from outside, let's get a call coming in from out there. I can pick it up on my desk, or I can pick it up on my mobile. I don't have to put anybody on hold anymore. So I can. Sorry about that. I can close proximity. I can move calls back and forth. So I took the call on my mobile. If I want to send it to my desk, I just hit the little icon here and just hit a handoff. And I want to hand it off to my desk phone over here, which is my 6940 with Bluetooth, and this is a wireless receiver. I've done it, so now I can just hang up, kill the call, and I can go back and forth with the calls. I don't have to tell anybody I'm going to put you on hold. So that's technology today. I think a lot of companies have that, where it's push and pull the calls. Very good voice quality, to say the least. If you want to, one of the questions I saw, since this is an enterprise grade system, if you go into, we offer something called, I don't want that window. I want my other, hold on. If you go into something called Mitel Performance Analytics, MPA, it's something that we offer with the system. But you want to look at voice utilization so you can see it. If you don't know what that parameters mean, you can come over here, hit the little question mark. It'll tell you what they are. It's really powerful. And like your admins or your IT groups and folks that are managing this system, they could look at every single call, whether it's on a soft phone, on a mobile client, or on a desk phone or whatever, and they can look at details. So they can look at bad calls, good calls. They can get traffic analysis, all kinds of stats that are running in the environment. So it's very flexible there, very powerful. When you want to talk about calls coming into a group of people, we have our enterprise contact center. One thing that's really nice that we added was something called Mitel Voice Assist. I'm bringing this up now because I think you should take a look at this. You know, in the past, and I was just in a meeting the other day at a healthcare facility. They needed press 1 for English, 2 for Spanish, and they needed to look for people to do the recordings. And I showed them this, and I said, "Holy moly!" So you go over here and click edit. And this is our Cloud Link, what we call Cloud Link APIs, Cloud Link that's running in our PBXs that communicate to AWS on the back end. But this is Cloud Link protocol running on the PBX. So I could actually look at my extension coming in. Everything is graphical. I can see this number that I want to call into. I can run it on a schedule. So this is a schedule of business hours. You could change right on the fly. The menu, if I play the menu and I can listen to the greeting, this is so you could change the voices over here. You know, bring in different voices, different dialects. But what's really nice about this, if you want to set like press 1 for English, press 2 for Spanish, you come into Google and you do a translate English to Spanish. So if I take this, and you can build a call center flow pretty easily by just doing this. Take this, copy it into this, just like that. You could change the dialect to Portuguese. I just came back from Portugal last week. We were there. It's great. What a great trip. I'll change it to Spanish. If I want to listen to it, I hit OK. And I bring up my menu. And I can play it back. So I made that change. If I hit save and I call this flow from outside, and I'll go into my phone again and call Mitel Voice Assistant, call it, put on my speaker. I'm calling it. You could also
Gracias por llamar a la demostración de Mitel Voice.
You could also start analyzing, and it'll play the whole thing and show you what's going on with the auto attendant. But you can listen to it and play it back, and it's a really powerful way to like set up your inbound.
Gracias por llamar a la demostración de Mitel Voice.
It's playing that. So, and I just killed it. But it's very powerful. That's called Mitel Voice Assist. Now, if I take it to the next step, and I bring over this everything times out on you when you don't use the screen. Here we are. How much time I got? So this is something called the Ignite client. This is on Mitel Enterprise Contact Center. And everything is graphical again. The admin, the contact center managers or the contact center administrators can set up these screens to look at the inbound queues and who's answering what. This is an omni-channel contact center, meaning that it can take voice calls, it could take chats, it could take emails, it could take SMS, it could take WhatsApp, you name it. We have integrations into many, many, many different back-end systems. So if I want to call into the contact center, simulating a telephone call from a customer, I'm calling into the queue.
Thank you for calling the Mitel Credit Union. For training
This is
and quality
finance.
purposes, this call may be recorded. Please enter your member number to continue with phone
I'm
banking.
going to just select option
Or
1
select
for
from the following options. Press 1 for loans. Press 2.
loans and option 4.
Press 1 for business loans.
I'll
Press 2.
So I just entered the queue. I'm in this particular queue. Here's the call coming in, and I see it. I can take the call. And now within the browser, and let's cue that. Always forget to mute. There we go. So within the browser, there's total call control. So I can put the call on hold. I can conference people in. I can transfer the call. This is also functions as a CRM package too. It could take notes about the call, information about the caller. We can connect this to Google AI, and we can query that person with different questions. When's your trip? What time would you like to travel? Where are you going? All that information that Google AI communicates to with the connections to these MICC will show up in these fields. So it's pretty cool. And then you can apply codes, you can resolve issues. If I want to take a chat from somebody at the same time, and I'll simulate the I'll do a chat and I'll send a message and I'll just say hello. Or we could do it from a company website that has let's see what happens here. So here's my chat that's coming in. I'm still on the call up on the top. I can have many things going on depending on the skill of the agent that is answering the call. But now if I want to put in a canned reply, I can click here and here's mine that I did. I'll insert that and I'll just say, hello, how are you today? If I go back to my my iPhone, I'll put it on the screen again. Here it is. So here's my iPhone chat. And so all this gets recorded and saved. So this will come here in a second. There it is. Now, if I want to save that, well, I can hang up the chat, and the agent gets a record of this is in this stays persistent in the call center. This can also tie into CRM systems as well. And the agents will also get an email with the information in that chat. So everything that's laid out that they chatted back and forth, they get a permanent copy of it. Now, if I want to hang up that, I can. If I want to hang up the call, I can just hang up. When I go into hang up mode, it puts me in a time where the agent has time to work on their call. So it's called a work timer. It's predefined, but you can bypass it. If I just click clear the work timer here, I'm done there. And I'm fine. And I can, and again, the real-time dashboards, there's tons of reports that can pull on this. You know, what was the longest wait times? Who was the most idle agent? And when you do the artificial intelligence integrations to these type of systems, it really speeds up the agent times. It streamlines that. So instead of maybe needing 20 agents to do X, you could use 18 agents and the other 2 could be doing other things. So it saves time, it saves money, and it helps customers. You know, so they don't have to wait online. They don't have to, you know, you call the bank, you wait forever for somebody. This does away with that kind of those problems.
Great.
Do I have time? Go ahead.
Yeah, we're at that time. Thank you,
Okay.
Mike. Appreciate
You're welcome.
that.
Got it.
Definitely able to cover a lot of things there.
There's a lot to do.
Yeah, 10 minutes is
stuff.
definitely difficult. So we have, I believe, Andrew, you will be sharing your screen for the Fusion presentation.
That's correct.
Great.
Andrew McManus is our solution design engineer, subject matter expert for everything Microsoft. I'm Bob White. I'm the senior channel manager, and I work with Affinity and Amy Gerber. And one thing I'll say is if there's any interest after a follow-up, please follow up with Amy Gerber. She'll be able to provide that information to you. Ours is going to be really easy, right? Because, you know, what we already see is if I had to say, you know, raise a hand out there, how many folks are using Microsoft already? The numbers are staggering. There's almost 500 million subscribers of Microsoft in the world. And out of that, almost 400 million of them are using Teams already for meetings, conferencing, collaboration, chat, peer-to-peer calling, file sharing, as well as integration with third-party platforms and APIs. What we want to concentrate on today is the simple approach. And that's going to show and indicate in our demonstration. We're not getting deep into the weeds on the IT side, the implementation, how to set this up. We're not talking contact center, although we have all those wraparound features and functionality. We want to concentrate on Microsoft Teams as the hub of the law firm. And there's one component that maybe you're not taking advantage of today. It's a very simple application to add within Teams. One thing is Fusion's been around for about 30 years. We are a cloud solution provider for Microsoft. And during the pandemic, folks moved home to jump into Microsoft for Teams and other platforms, all reputable platforms. But what we're finding now is a transition from customers that say we want to get off our premise-based or our traditional UCaaS platform and move into Teams because it's easy, it's intuitive, and extremely price competitive. So I'm going to pass the ball off to Drew, and he's going to walk you through a day in the life of an attorney or a legal assistant or secretary or administrator, as well as showing you the front end, meaning how do calls come in? How do you have visibility? Because we understand the use case with law firms. There's a lot of administrators sitting behind those attorneys, and being able to back up individuals, set up call groups, things to that effect will be very impactful to any law firm. And one last note is that we currently have 2 or 3 right now that we're in deployment with that are probably identical in size and probably have similar requirements as most of this audience. So rest assured, we have a lot of experience within the legal segment. So without further notice, I'll pass this off to Drew McManus, who's our SME, subject matter expert.
Thank you. Andrew, you might be on mute if you are talking.
Yeah, the big red button usually helps. So, so nice to meet everyone. I've been working with Microsoft for going on 13 years now, going back to Microsoft Live Meeting. We were a big Skype for Business integrator as well, and that just kind of migrated over to our Operator Connect and Direct Routing services. So with the application, if you already use Microsoft Teams, you will probably see very familiar apps that you will already see today on the left-hand side. We natively integrate and use the Microsoft Teams softphone. So when you do get the proper Microsoft licensing, you will see the calls history. It will not just be showing VoIP calls, but it will now be showing PSTN external calls. You'll also get the native dialer included into that application on your Teams desktop, mobile, as well as any phones that you use. So you will be able to use the soft phone as you start dialing out. For instance, if you have legal teams that specialize in specific categories, you can even dial out using group naming or caller ID functions. So if you don't want to use your personal phone number, you can have the caller ID drop down so that you can dial externally with another a DID or caller ID within your organization. So rather than having them call your number, they're calling back to a group distribution. So that you can even if you're filling in for another individual, or if you have paralegals or legal assistants that make calls on behalf of lawyers, they could actually act as delegates as well and call on behalf of them, so that they know that when the caller ID or CNAM populates on the phone, they'll know exactly who's calling. It's not another random third-party phone number. So it just makes it convenient for making contacts to all of your customers. Within the application, it is native to Microsoft Teams, so you are able to have direct Active Directory integration. You can see everyone within your organization. You can make direct calls. You also can create speed dials on your right-hand side to specific groups. When we do set you up, you will have your traditional historical trends of your callings. You'll be able to filter out missed incoming. You will even have voicemail access as well. You will receive, if you're on Outlook 2016 or greater, you will also receive an email copy of your voicemail. So you'll receive a WAV file via email, but you'll also have access to this in any Teams application, whether it's your mobile device or even on the desktop app, or if you have a Teams certified Microsoft phone, you'll be able to have access to your voicemail across every single application. So with the voicemail, you will also be able to see transcription. So you can get a transcribed version of that voicemail, as well as the audio file, as well as where it came from. So timestamp, and if I'm a part of like a call queue and we have a group voicemail set up, it'll actually give you an idea as to where it came from. So if you have on your inbound calling and you have specialties for, say, commercials, that you have your 800 number and it goes to a group voicemail, you can actually label those so that your legal team will actually know who's calling and for what specific purpose. Again, this is all native to Microsoft Teams, so everything that you can see, you'll be able to see contacts. This is your standard day-to-day desktop application. You can transfer inbound calls directly from one app to the next. So if I want to make a quick switch over to my phone, okay, I could just open up the Teams app and hit transfer to phone so that you have no issues going from your desktop to another mobile device. If you are looking to have, say, a receptionist that uses the environment, Bob, go ahead and make that call. We also offer a tenant council that can sit and work with your team's environment. So you're able to receive inbound calls. So as I have an inbound caller coming in, I'm able to accept it. I'm going to put myself on mute real quick. So I currently have Bob calling in. If I'm talking to Bob and I'm the receptionist, I can then look into, let's say he's looking for somebody named Matt. I then can do an Active Directory search, look at all the Matts within my organization. Say he actually meant Lisa Matthews. I can pull up Lisa. As I click on her name, it brings up her business card within Active Directory, see contact information. I can look at her calendar to see if she's busy. She's currently on a call from 1 to 2. And I can even say, hey, Bob, you know what? Lisa's busy, but I can actually look to see if somebody from her team is available. It then gives me a breakdown of her organizational structure. I can see her manager. I can see who also is within her organization. Say I can hand it over to Mario, and he can handle that call on behalf of Lisa. What you can also do with this application, you can have various transfer details. You could do blind transfer, you can do safe transfer, and consult transfer. Blind transfer is just a traditional transfer. Safe transfer actually lets me sit with the caller until the far end user actually picks up. And then the consult transfer actually allows me to talk to Lisa. If I were transferring to her, I can actually talk to her before I make the transfer of that phone call, so that I can talk and say, hey, you know, are you busy? Can you take this call for a few minutes? This is what they're looking at. Okay, yes, you can handle it. Okay, I'll transfer it over to you. No, okay, go ahead. I'll take it and I'll transfer it to somebody else. If Lisa is also busy, you can set up email and chat callback reminders. So you can, all through Microsoft Teams, you could set up an email callback reminder by just clicking on the email and actually populate an Outlook email with the timestamp, the phone number, and then you can add a quick note, and that'll be sent over to Lisa. Same exact fashion with the chat callback. It'll populate a Microsoft Teams chat, give a timestamp of the call, the caller ID, phone number, and then you can add some specific notes for that inbound call. There are a myriad of other functions that I can show you this, but I'm limited in time. But that's the gist of our receptionist console. Again, the ability to handle a multitude of inbound calls. If there were a number of calls stacking up, you'll see them on the top-hand side. They'll start being in a row format for all the inbound callers that are calling into that number. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. Again, like Michelle from Dialpad, I also don't use Zoom that often, so we're going to do best effort here to show the mobile application. So bear with me. Okay, so I'm not a host. I have another Andrew McManus in the lobby. Would you be able to add him as a? It says that I am not a host for my mobile phone. Yeah, there's two Andrew McManuses. I apologize. I should have. Thank you. Not to cause any more confusion by putting two of the same name on the call.
No worries.
We only need one, Andrew. We don't need
two.
Two.
Perfect. So start broadcast. Again, I don't know. So you should be seeing me stop the broadcast. All right, moving over to, oh geez, I'm sorry guys. There we go. Okay, fat fingers. All right, so with the mobile app, again, it is the native Teams application available on iOS and Android. You have the same functions as I mentioned before. If you start creating contacts, you can they will basically go across all of your Teams applications. You have your speed dial contacts, but you will also be able to click on the dial pad and dial out externally. If you're looking for specific individuals, so again, I'm going to pull up another map. You can do your contacts, and it'll pull up your Active Directory. You can even add your local contacts from your mobile device. On the top right-hand side, you'll see the phone icon. So if I were to click on it, it would just ask me to add my contacts directly to Microsoft Teams. So you're able to not only bring in your Teams Active Directory, but external contacts to make speed dials within the application itself.
And you got 20 seconds.
Yep, that was it. That was actually, I was done. That was like perfect timing.
Perfect timing. Great. Thank you so much for that. I know there's a lot of organizations definitely interested, to look into options with, using MS Teams because, they're sort of living in it for everything else, in terms of communication. So definitely appreciate that overview. Okay, well, I'll say I'm very impressed that we were able to do this on time. We basically did it within an hour and had 5 different providers on and show a lot. So definitely appreciate everyone, presenting for doing that and showing so much in an hour's time. Anyone
Michael?
else on this call? Yep.
I want to make sure that we have a chance for you to introduce like Amy and any other people who, help if that was not on your agenda.
Yeah, no. So yeah, I'll stop rambling. Amy, if you would like to introduce yourself, as someone who definitely helped put this together, and we'll go from there and then open it up for questions.
So, hi, it's nice to meet all of you. And those presentations were incredibly impressive, and I'm delighted to see how you use those 10-minute slots really effectively. I am Amy Gerber from Telefinity Corp. I have been in the telecommunications business for about 30 years, dating myself here. I've been doing UCAS, Unified Communication, and as a service and contact center as a service consulting for small businesses, nonprofits. I have a lot of nonprofit legal firms as my customers, and I help any of my customers to evaluate all of the different services that are out there to target the needs of your particular organization. I describe my company as it's like an insurance brokerage, but only for technology. So there's no charge sheet for service, and I'm really smart and I know what I'm doing. So, if you have questions about any of these vendors, or if you just want to chat or kind of get a sense of where you should go next, I'm very happy to field any phone calls for anybody.
Great. Thank you, Amy. And Mike B, again, a lot of mics on. If you could, again, you've been very helpful with stirring the chat, and also helping with answers. So if you could introduce yourself as well, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, hey everybody, Mike Belargin. I work very closely with Amy. I'm her voice engineer. We are agnostic. We love all our children on this call, but every time that you come to us and say, hey, we need a new phone system, we evaluate all the suppliers based upon your particular needs. So if 3 people come to us, they may end up with 3 different providers. We find the Goldilocks for each of those providers. That's what Amy and I do really well for clients of all sizes.
Great. Thank you. All right, Shelley, I think I think we should just open it up to going through some of the questions, but if there are other questions that people would like to ask live, please unmute yourself and ask away. We've got the time, we've got the experts on to help answer it, so this is definitely the time.
Well, I wanted to give Mike B a chance to finish his thoughts that he was interrupted. So Mike, did you have anything else you wanted to finish there?
No, each of these suppliers brings something different. Just to be frank, each of these suppliers can do 80% of the same thing. They're all wonderful. They all have built-in redundancy. They have really strong support teams. It's really that 20% of what each do differently, right? Fusion, they focus on teams, right? We've sold quite a few with them. Dialpad, they focus on that AI component, the super modern component of what a modern phone system or contact center is. Michelle and I, we go way back. We're very good friends, and we've sold many together, right? Then we look at our friends at Zoom. They have literally zoomed into our world on many different levels, and the rate that they've produced new features and new functionality is mind-boggling. And if you're a Zoom shop today, I strongly recommend that we start there and work our way out. Hiram and I over at GoTo, very good friends. GoTo started off in the school system, K through 12. Why is that important to you? Because they understand the value of easy to administer, easy to use, still a lot of physical phone up into your ear, right? So that's what they're really good at. And then Mike Fink and I, we actually worked together for many years at another company. So good to see him. And Norcom, I go back to the owners of Norcom since 23 years now. So Joe and I, who's on this call, we go back. I mean, they are the godfathers of the PBX world. So on this call, it is amazing the different suppliers that we have. Again, 80% what they all do. That 20%, that's the part that's super important to you. And that 20% should include, yes, some cool features, don't get me wrong, but how do you deploy? How easy is it to deploy? Is the deployment team based in the US or outside the US? What about support? When I call support, is that based in the US or outside the US? What you'll find with all the suppliers on this call is their focus not just on the enterprise, which everybody likes that NASCAR slide of the biggest companies on the planet. It's critical to all these suppliers, but more importantly, the bulk of their user community is that SMB space, right? From 5 users to 250 users, I can pretty much guarantee that's the bulk of the customers with these suppliers. And that's why we want to come today, show you these particular suppliers who are focused with your size organization and what's important to you.
Thank you for that, Mike. I see Carol has her hand up, waiting patiently.
Hi, Carol. Love the avatar, Carol.
Thank you. I don't look like that, unfortunately. We are in the market. New Mexico Legal Aid is in the market for a different phone system. I have what is it's not unique. I know I see a lot of other people here that we're going to have the same kind of perspective, but I manage what the phone system people call our contact center. But what that is where poor people call our program desperate to ask for legal help. Our current phone system that we use, it got deployed very rapidly in April and May of 2020 because the previous system we had wasn't at that time set up to allow any kind of remote work. We were shocked to find out about a year later that the system had been set up by the sales agents and their rep techs to record every single call that came into our contact center. To me, that's a huge violation and breach of our attorney rules of professional responsibility and the confidentiality that a client should expect from us. I've talked to other vendors and, seeing the presentations today about transcripts that can be saved, AI and IVR that can be set up to shoot information back. To me, that is all very, very scary. And it feels like the vendors are not understanding that they may have no clue about the rules of professional responsibility and the attorney-client confidential relationship. And I don't know how to sort of convey that when I'm talking to a vendor about, you can't do that. How would you even think you could do something like that? Right. Because we are not a sales force. We have clients to whom we owe a duty of confidentiality. So
yeah. Hey, Carol, Mike, you're absolutely right. And when I was showing that, those are options. They're shut off at the get-go. We've done a lot of law firms. Michael has a lot of law firm clients. With bridge call appearances, many assistants make a call maybe on behalf of an attorney. There's no call recording enabled if it's not asked for. It's an option. There's no Google AI. If it's not asked for, it's an option. So when you build the system out, we go through all the requirements, and those come out as requirements. We're not doing this, we're not doing that, we're not doing this. So you make a very good point. It shouldn't be there automatically. It should be a requirement that is built.
Yeah, great point. And I'll ask our friends at Dialpad, you have that cool transcription. Can you turn that off?
Yes, you could turn the transcription off, but legally, because we do a ton of law firms as well, and we always say never sell a law firm recording. Don't even start the conversation with that because yeah, there's some legal liability there. So we never even talk about it when we do demos with law firms. But it is an option, and you could turn it on and let people know, and they could hear the little voice that comes on saying, oh, this just started recording, if you want that, or keep it off all the time. Same thing with transcription. You could have it auto start, you could have it never start. But what we have found with all the law firms that we have sold is that they do use the transcription because legally you can, because it's seen as notes right now.
Yeah. Same thing with healthcare. We do a lot of healthcare environments and HIPAA, and you have to really be careful. You can't record, you can't share information like that. So it's in the same realm.
Yep, public sector, any kind of government
Same with Microsoft. With the Fusion offering, you could turn it on, turn it off. It's up to you. Even with the recording that we do offer, it's an optional add-on, and you can determine if you want inbound, outbound only, PSTN only, or you can just put it in as on demand. If you want to turn on the recording, you can. But again, these are all options that you can clearly not have and not turn on if you would like.
And Carol,
I also wanted to add just like recording and transcription are two different things. Recording, out. Transcription, several of the attorneys that I work with like the transcription because it allows them to really focus on the conversation with the client, knowing that they will be able to sort of see that written transcript afterwards and check their notes, and it gives them a little bit of a coverage if they don't scroll down, and especially if somebody's really in a really difficult situation, to be able to focus on listening can be really helpful. So I kind of like to differentiate between the recording piece and the transcription piece.
And it helps with billable hours too. If you don't have the time to go and look at the actual analytics, you could tell just by the transcription itself how many minutes that you were speaking and how long the call was.
In that client that I showed with the contact center, I didn't show the rightmost button, which is the call record button. That's an option, so an agent has the option to click record or not click or turn off the recording. But if the environment is specifically not for recording, the agent would never ever see that button there in the first place. So it depends how it's designed, depends how it's programmed.
And on behalf of me and all my telecom professionals out there, I apologize, Carol, to you that you had something turned on that you had no idea. When you work with these providers, I'll let Stephanie from Zoom and Hiram, if he's still on, from GoTo, they have a very rigid deployment process. So they ask you, they have a document, right, called the playbook. And in that document, they say, okay, what does your auto attendant look like? When you press 1, what's that going to happen? But they also should be asking you, and I know they do because I work with them every day, call recording. Do you want it auto on? Do you want the agent to start it? Or do you don't even want to talk about it? And we won't even apply that feature to anyone. So as you work with these solution providers, I think what you'll find is they really hold your hand and take you step by step, feature by feature, and can turn it on. And Mr. Tinder out there asked about, well, what about the admin? Yes, admins, they're the top of the pyramid. What they say goes. So if you want people to have call recording, it's a user by user feature. If you want ACD, if you want whatever, SMS, it's a user by user feature.
Thanks, everyone. And I will say that the current provider we have is not anybody who has presented here today.
Oh. Yes, we got one right today, team. But I'll let Stephanie from Zoom, kind of chime in. what's your kind of deployment methodology? You really work closely with each customer, right? You just don't, it's just not like, oh, we got this from here, we'll call you when it's done. Is that fair?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So our account executives, particularly in the small, medium business space, which a lot of your organizations are not just on the sales side, right? They are employed to kind of see through the implementation. This is huge because the last thing you want is to be sold and then to never have contact with that sales rep again. Our reps actually maintain their accounts for 6 to 12 months, sometimes even longer.
Right.
And while they are not the technical experts, right, they have the means to facilitate for you internally and ensure that we get answers for you, et cetera. We also do have an enablement team, and our enablement team provides free onboarding sessions. Beyond that, we also do have a professional service offering for customers that would like even more hand-holding, and that is something that we're more than happy to provide.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Awesome.
Mike, any other questions that were in the chat that you'd like to bring up? Anyone else that would like to ask a question? Either raise your hand or unmute yourself and ask away.
Isha?
We have Kata Rogers has their hand up.
Great.
I apologize if I mispronounced that name.
First, thanks for everyone's time. I really appreciate it. I'm with a nonprofit law firm as well. And a lot of my role is regarding analytics and providing those numbers for our boards. And I know Mike touched a little bit on it, but with my current provider, who's also not here on the call, they're not showing, our numbers aren't reflecting accurately in those analytic reports. So we have like a law line, which is close to that contact center that the person before me was speaking on. And I have to report hold times. And it's showing in our system now that there is no hold times, and that's absolutely false. And my provider said there's nothing they can do to assist with those analytics. And part of my job is reporting hold times and personnel and what it looks like for each phone call for every person from that law line and from our different attorneys in their offices. So I would appreciate any little bit of information from that, or a little information from you regarding like reportable analytics. I remember Michael Fink from Mitel did show his a little bit as well, but if any of you have anything to say, I'd greatly appreciate it.
From a Microsoft perspective for Fusion offering with Operator Connect, there are reports that we offer that show queue statistics and auto tenant statistics. So you could do specific agent details or break down the queue information, like I said, average hold times. What you can also offer is the ability to pull up using Power BI statistics, because we are using Microsoft Teams as the primary PBX. All of our reports are already canned and available to our customers. You just need to change the data source for if you haven't used Power BI, it's like you probably think I'm talking a third language, but these are all reports that are already available to customers using Microsoft Voice Services and Teams in general.
Yeah, thank you. I transfer some of my information into Excel so I could put it into BI for presentation. I understand exactly what you're saying. Yes.
And like I put in the chat, each supplier has 3 levels of reporting. Basic system analytics is called CDR, kind of old school term. Everybody has that, table stakes, right? And then next they have like a call center light product. Some people charge for it, others are built in. Usually you'll hear terms like a hunt group or a call queue. And then after that, if you need more advanced analytics, they have some type of contact or call center package. It doesn't have to be the enterprise size that some of you have dealt with in the past. Like I said, Zoom has their own, Dialpad has their own, Mitel has their own. Fusion has a great partnership with a really strong product that they support. GoTo has their own. So when you talk to these suppliers, ask about those 3 levels, kind of table stakes, basically calls coming in, what numbers did people dial, and then the call center light, and then the call center heavy, if you will. All depends on what you need. Everybody's different.
So I also had seen in the chat some questions about integration with Google, that a lot of nonprofits do work with Google Space. Mike, do you want to talk about integration with Google or in integrations in general, what that can look like?
Yeah, a lot of my conversations these days with clients, it doesn't start off with, so what phone system do you have and how many people you have? It starts off with two questions. What is the single source of truth of all your client information, right? If you're a sales organization, it's Salesforce. If you're a legal firm, it's Clio or Amicus or one of those. If you're a manufacturing company or a healthcare company, it's Epic or Cerna or NextGen. What is your single source of truth? Because as we talk to these providers, we'll ask them, can you integrate to that? Now, here's the deal. I hear this all the time. Hey, can you integrate into Clio, let's say? I'll just pick on Clio. The answer is going to be from everybody, yes, but. What do I mean by that? Because everybody on this call is cloud-based, which means you're going to get a couple of native integrations out of the box. One is click to dial from any other cloud application. So if I'll just start alphabetically. If I'm Dialpad or Zoom on the other end, I can install what's called a Chrome extension. And all that means is when I'm in Chrome, the browser, any dialable phone number, I'll be able to click and it'll go out Dialpad, it'll go out Zoom, it'll go out GoTo, it'll go out Fusion. That's easy, super easy. The hard part about integrations next is the question came up, hey, can I put my SMS into my legal system? Can I put my call recordings into that? And the answer is maybe, which is a lousy answer for an engineer to provide, but it's the truth. It depends on the application you're using and if it's open to integrating to other products. If you look at, I'll just pick on Zoom. If you just click on Zoom and Zoom Marketplace or Dialpad Marketplace or GoTo Marketplace or Mitel Marketplace or Fusion Marketplace, they'll show all the native integrations. They might have 5, they might have 95, right? All depends on how popular they are, I guess. It might not show yours. Don't give up hope, right? Talk to me, talk to Amy, we'll talk to the provider. We can still probably integrate to that. So again, integration means different things to different people. Easy, click to dial. Harder is the screen pop or putting SMS or call recordings into that client record. It might require extra effort. By the way, extra effort is sales talk for it costs money, right? You have to pay professional services for that, but it's definitely possible.
Thank you for that.
So I just wanted to take a moment and say thank you to all of our representatives from the different companies who joined us today. I know that we're already way over the time that we asked you to be here, so I do appreciate you sticking around. You're welcome to stay and as we continue our discussions, or if you have other commitments, I don't want to keep you as the community discussions continue. But I do want to ask Michael Hernandez, were there codes or something that were discussed so that if anybody in the audience wants to speak to someone about what they heard today, did you decide on something that they would use?
So I'm going to share with you, Shelley, all the contact information for everyone, and we'll share that information with the community in terms of who would be the best contact. So for most, it would be reaching out to Amy and connecting folks, but we'll have everyone listed so they know exactly who needs who could be contacted and again, as Amy said, that process is going to be much better than just calling like, the 800 number for the, sales number for the, company, and just kind of randomly getting whoever answers that call, whoever sent that call.
And I'm happy to I'll put my contact information into the chat, and then I'll be able to help field them to whichever vendor is appropriate, or if it's something that Michael I will help you with. So.
Perfect. All right,
Great.
back to the community. What questions do you have? This is your chance. This was such a hot topic and on the listserv, so I know there's questions out there. People are shy.
I'll throw out the question that I saw in a couple. Oh, Jim has a question. I'll leave him to ask first.
Yeah, so I kind of went over it in the chat there, and Mike kind of answered it, but basically a lot of what we saw here is the basic clients and stuff like that. Utah Legal Services, like Carol in New Mexico, we use that, and we use our phone system is our main intake process, and being able to set up those complex IVRs, like no one talked about if they have IVR capabilities and everything like that, except for Mr. Fink. You did an awesome presentation. Thank you. So, is it possible to maybe have another one of these that goes into that kind of in-depth IVR kind of stuff, and reporting and all of that kind of stuff? We can make anything work with what we saw today. What we need is the meat and potatoes kind of stuff, and I think that's I'm not the only one probably that is running into the same problems.
Great. So great question, Jim. I think when Shelley, and I spoke, when she approached me about this great idea based off of that, flurry of emails that were going around. The challenge we saw is, making sure we got a good variety of providers on, but also having limited time. So this was really more to just kind of pique people's interests in certain areas. But having experts on like Amy and Mike also is as a resource, because you could able to go to them to say, hey, here's some of the challenges that we're having, or here's some of the wish list items that we want to do, but we know we can't do with the phone system. So we could definitely talk with Shelley to see if there's maybe some follow-up that we could do, but definitely, and just encourage you to reach out to the resources on here and schedule a full-length demo, directly with the provider, so they could, have more than 10 minutes. Those are usually, 45 minutes to an hour, with questions. So that, those, private demos one-on-one will definitely allow you the time to really get into it. And I know all of them would be more than, if an hour isn't enough time and there's a follow-up that needs to happen based off of some special requirements or requirements that you have that maybe wasn't covered, I know they would all be more than happy to schedule then even a follow-up call. So yeah, I mean, we'd love to be able to cover a lot more on this, but limited to the time.
And I want to say that I would bet that anyone that we approached about that would say that everyone's needs are different. So the answer that they could give in a large group might be necessarily different than what the needs of your organization are. So, we definitely are mindful of the fact that we just skim the surface of this subject today. But we're bringing in new resources, we're trying new things. So yes, if you have things like this that you want us to try, we will see what we can do. This is an experiment. And do we open it up and allow organizations to provide videos that we can have links to in our information about their services. I think that that absolutely is a next step that we could consider with our tech stack database. You know, we want to help organizations find the solutions that will work for them. So yes, I mean, it's something that we certainly will consider finding the way to get the best information out there if possible.
Jim, and partner we work with is on the call, Norcom, and Mike B mentioned them too. They have a lot of real world experience on IVRs. So, we can all get together and come up with something, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah, awesome. Like I used to work at a call center. I started my IT career in a call center, and like I told Mike, I did the 2 week training to set up IVRs. It's more of the capabilities of the systems. Being able to have when someone's on hold, they can press a button and we'll call them back when it's their time. Basically, our current system promised us that, and then when we implemented, they're like, "Oh no, we can't do that. It crashes the system," and we'll get it to you here in a couple months. It's been almost 2 years now. We still haven't gotten that feature enabled on our phone system. And, this is something that we promised LSC to have. And in our grant application as part of our phone system, and we haven't been able to implement it because our provider has not been able to get it to work in our system. So stuff like that is concerning for us.
And for providers, LSC is the Legal Services Corporation, if you're not aware, and grant terms do have requirements that, we have to meet milestones and different things. So certainly when something is required by the grant, how we're getting paid and able to meet things, it certainly is a suggestion. So that makes me think of, as providers, what can your clients do? I mean, how can a client bring an issue to you?
I think from my perspective is, lend a few words, you could specify the requirements. What are the actual requirements we have to match and solve? I tell you right out of the box, the systems can do more than you can imagine. There are things that it can't do, but I've been hard pressed to say it can't do this, it can't do that. But then you come up with things that it can't do out of the box. But we have a professional services group that, well, if it's not there natively, they could write it and get it to work that way. So it can cover many different areas depending on the verticals and stuff. But either it's there or it could be written. The critical piece is the APIs have to be there, the programming interfaces, to be able to get things to work the way you want. So that's what you want to look for, a platform that has strong APIs to be able to do that, whatever it is, if it's not built into the system.
So for an organization that was promised the world and they're not getting it, are there professional associations that or licensure? I mean, is there an overriding entity that customer complaints can be taken to?
I don't know about that. It's a good question.
You should talk to Amy, the partner with us. She's probably getting some of those phone calls. Let
me just say, you bring it to Amy.
Bring it to Amy. Amy will call us and we'll fix it.
And then Amy calls us.
People are scared of me. I'm very small, but vendors are like, oh shit, not Amy calling. I will tell you when you buy services through the channel, which is, all of us, meaning you didn't just call into the call center. A lot of the vendors really want sales through outside salespeople like myself. And so what they've done is created internal escalation channels and support channels. So I have a list with every carrier that I work with of half a dozen different people, up to the senior VPs and often the president of the organizations, of who to reach out to if there is a problem. And I will tell you that I have called every single one of them at very late hours of the night when there have been problems that, you know, I felt like the carriers or the vendors were not working with. So you want to have an advocate on your side. So you want to know that the sales team is not just like, you know, smiling and dialing and moving on to the next one. We are actually we remain involved with our customers through the life of the contract, as does Mikey B, as does Mike Hernandez. We want you to be happy because we want you to stay. So we have a lot of resources, and we will advocate for our customers to make sure that things, you know, and the other thing is one of the issues happens when there's not enough eyes on the project as it's being implemented. So, you know, when I'm on a project, I'm always on every single call. As the project is being set up, the customers are going through the checklist of I need this, that, or the other thing. And as we're going through the implementation, the question is always like, well, wait a minute, what about the blah, blah, blah that is needed? So those are the ways that you just want to have a lot of Swiss cheese layers to make sure that nothing falls through the cracks.
I'd like to add, as an outsider looking into people like Amy and Mike Belargian, they will weigh, when they bring providers like us to the table, they're going to weigh out who's got what at that time. And they're going to follow through and make sure that what we told you that we're going to have down the road, that we will have it down the road. Mm-hmm. So that's, I mean, that goes to the point that Amy's saying that she's an advocate. Like, they truly follow that. And a lot of times I've seen them get rid of them out of the mix of people. Because even if I came to you and said, it's on our roadmap, that means anything. But if I came to you and said, we're going to have this by January, then that's different. Oops, sorry. And the provider, the partners like Amy and like Mike, they know that.
And just to put that in perspective, we get training from dozens of vendors. I'm actually in Tampa this week at a training. Yesterday, I was trained by Fusion Connect, who's on this call. I had Dialpad this morning. Zoom is going on right now, so I'm sort of missing them. So I got to run after this, go catch the end of their presentation. But we reach out to these vendors to make sure we understand what their current capabilities are beyond what we read from the website, beyond the marketing hype, right? So we ask them the hard questions and to make sure we get the right answers, because my business and Amy's business, our joint business, is a referral business, which means, Jason, if we make a recommendation to you and it was a terrible recommendation, you're not going to tell any of your friends, right? Where if we make a great recommendation, then hopefully you'll tell some of your friends and we get referral business that way. So our job is not to get bought into the marketing hype and who's who on the Gartner Magic Quadrant, which is important, don't get me wrong, but it's not the end all be all. Our job is to understand who's got the right feature set and who's implementing it well, and more importantly, who supports our client well. That's what we focus on.
And I want to give you actually one more example, because I had done a project with Zoom for one of my legal services clients. It had about 100 users, and they had a very sort of complex and unique model. Zoom literally built out an example of what their infrastructure would look like. We sat down with them, we said, this is what we want, this is how we want it to work. And then we built it out, and we did a 2-hour demo call with the customer, and each of the customers had one of the licenses, and they were able to sort of show that they could make that call flow work within the existing infrastructure. So, you know, that's the type of thing. If you have a complex situation, you know, let's see how much you can actually get the vendor to demo for you of your specific needs.
So we have a question from the community. Does any provider offer legal server, which is a case management system, some, you know, like Clio, any kind of integrations?
So I went on the website and I just quick Google. Hopefully I get the right platform. Yep. When I looked at that under integrations, that's where I always start. You know, I love Google. I use it all the time. That's where I start with a lot of my integration questions. They had no phone system per se listed, right? I didn't see Mitel, I didn't see Dialpad, I didn't see Zoom, GoTo, Fusion, whatnot. Doesn't mean that we're dead in the water, right? Then we'll look to see if they have an API toolkit that we can integrate. They did mention Zapier. I don't know if anyone's familiar with Zapier or not. That's a ubiquitous third-party integration tool. There is a fee for using Zapier. You need to purchase Zapier licenses, but someone like a GoTo, for instance, they have a relationship with Zapier and they'll leverage Zapier to do integrations with third parties they don't do natively. And I'm happy to let Dialpad or Mitel talk about Infusion, talk about their uncommon, how they handle uncommon integrations. Or I could just speak for you and say, you know, they have great professional services teams that really will integrate with basically anything you have. The key is, is the case management platform cloud-based? If it's client server based, it's gonna be a no for the most part. Otherwise, if it's a yes, it's gonna cost you $25,000. I'll just throw that out there. If it's cloud-based, that's great. Then we ask, do they have an API toolkit? And if they say, why, yes, that's even better because all of these suppliers are modern cloud-based companies with the API toolkit. The cup and pigeonholes is our friends at Fusion with their Microsoft product. But then again, like I said, they have this awesome call center product that they partner with, and they have the API toolkit to do the screen pops and everything like that.
Yep, sorry about that. I was trying to unmute and just.
Oh yeah, now you come on. I get it, buddy. It's
I had too
okay.
many screens open, so apologies. Yeah, you're spot on with that. We do offer, you know, if you're looking for more enhanced call center with screen pops, CRM integration, absolutely. It really is dependent upon, you know, I think we've touched upon this. It's more of sitting down with you and really mapping out the call flows, making sure that we match and replicate what you're looking for. But we definitely have the ability to integrate into third-party CRMs, specific healthcare, or you know, it really is dependent upon what you're integrating into. But absolutely, we can work with you on that.
You know what I mentioned when I was talking about this API called CloudLink? It gives Mitel is a premise-based system with private cloud capabilities. It's not public cloud, but we have a new offering called SMB Small Market Small Business Controller that sits on a premise, can handle 150 people. CloudLink is embedded in that controller. It can run. It's got built-in VM virtualizations in this little box, and CloudLink that you don't have to buy gives you the capability to run like that voice assist or tie into the third-party applications depending on what's needed on their end. But the CloudLink provides the APIs. It gives you the capability to make it happen is basically what that is. So it's not just phones and a controller. The CloudLink enables a lot of third-party capabilities. And the systems are redundant. You know, so a phone itself might point to one device here and might point to the device in the data center, you know, in a private cloud. If it loses the connection to the private cloud data center, it can run off the local box that's in the office. So it's called local survivability. And that local survivability box can provide the CloudLink API. So it's a very powerful solution.
Okay, I'd like to address Shelly. It's got a great question. So if you have a phone system provider and you didn't kind of work with Amy on, are you stuck? The answer is no, not really. You have a couple avenues. First of all, let Amy know who the provider is. Like I said, we have 80 in our portfolio. Even if we didn't work together on it, we're happy to advocate on your behalf. If it's a provider not in our ecosystem, like if it's someone local to you, let's say, typically you open a ticket if you're not happy about something, and then you keep escalating to escalation managers. that usually gets their attention. The other thing you can do is if it's an operating expense, right? So we know CapEx means I bought some hardware, I paid one time for it, I own it forever, or however long it's useful. Operating expense is a monthly fee, kind of like electricity, right? Every month you get a bill and you pay the bill. Amy and I, in our world, we work with companies that work on an operating expense point of view. If you stop paying your bill, you get their attention. And that, I mean, I'm not saying to go into credit default or anything crazy like that, but if you stop paying the bill, they're going to pay a little bit more attention to you and say, hey, why'd you stop paying your bill? Oh, I need this escalated to this point. But so if yeah, the account managers, absolutely. There should be an internal escalation policy within each provider. But let Amy and I know what phone, hit me up privately, direct message me of who they are that you're having trouble with. And if we work with them, we can help you out, even though you didn't go through us.
Yeah, the carriers never want to, these vendors they want to provide a solid service. Anybody that's in our portfolio, we vetted them. They're really, really solid. And we will kind of advocate for you. We can't get you out of contracts and stuff like that, but we can reach out to the people that we work with in these companies and just say, hey, you've got somebody who's really unhappy. They haven't been able to find the person. Can you point me to their account manager? A lot of times it's a matter of the person has an account manager, but the account manager isn't reaching out and they don't know who it is. So, we'll do what we can to point you in the direction of it. That's, we're happy to do that. I am seeing in this chat a number of questions about dropped calls and lost audio. So it's always the elephant in the room, and it is always complicated with a lot of people working from home and kind of sometimes questionable internet. So I think it's worth, Mike, would you like to kind of address that as a question and kind of how vendors will often deal with it? Because it's a complicated question. It's hard, not always the vendors.
Yeah, it's tricky. I think Mike did a good job of showing the toolkit that showed the quality of the calls. I know all the other providers on this call have something similar, so it can show, oh, this call was on a mobile device. They were on T-Mobile, and look at their reception went down,
Yeah.
right? So I think from the baseline service, everyone offers that. After that, there's something called a network assessment tool, right? Not everyone has that, but I have access to a couple. You can always hit me up. And that just does a baseline test of if we put in a phone system today, what's it going to look like? What's it going to sound like? What kind of quality can you expect? The other thing that we love about cloud-based phone systems is, let's say the fiber-seeking backhoe takes out your internet and everything to your office. Oh my gosh, I have this cloud-based system that runs over the internet. Am I dead in the water? You're not, because what happens is every user also gets the mobile app. There's no additional fee for that. So yes, it's terrible that your internet is down, but guess what? Your clients who really need your help can now be answered on the mobile device, or if you're working from home, from a soft phone at home. So what's great about cloud is it's built-in redundancy. So whether you're working from home, the office, or a mobile phone, you can be connected. Now, the good news is when you work from home, it doesn't take up a lot of bandwidth, right? We've all been on Zoom calls or team calls where you get this. So today we'd like to talk about, Mike, I think you're frozen, right? It happens, right? It happens. What's great is video uses a lot more bandwidth than voice. So it's very rare, unless your internet goes down, that when you work from home, that you're going to take up so much bandwidth that your calls are not going to sound great. Amy and I work with a provider called Big Leaf. We don't name these companies, we just have to work with them. Big Leaf is an SD-WAN company that specializes at-home workers. So they have a little device that you can put at home that'll separate your kids' Netflix traffic and Zoom traffic and your business traffic. So if you are working from home and you're finding that your quality internet isn't great, and when the kids come home from school, it's even worse, let Amy and I know. It's a little device. It's not super expensive, but what it does is it prioritizes your business traffic versus their Netflix and their Minecraft traffic.
Yeah, just one thing to add there as well. So at the start of COVID, with a lot of remote work that started with phones, one of the issues we found is just really old equipment at home from their provider, right? Your cable provider, and you ask them, well, when's the last time you upgraded your equipment? And they will say, well, I've had Comcast for 10 years, or Charter for 10 years, Spectrum for 10 years, and haven't changed it since. I'm like, okay, well, that's one of the things we'll want to factor into the equation, because everything else is working. Voice, unfortunately, is very unforgiving when it comes to service. So you might not see the impact in other areas, but when you throw voice on there and you're breaking up calls, or calls are dropping, then it could be a provider issue, with your internet service provider. And we found a lot was just old equipment that just needed to be upgraded.
So I know a question came up at our advisory panel yesterday, and it was all about whether organizations provide IT support for routers for their home-based workers. How do if phones are using that router to communicate, what kind of support, or do you have suggestions for our legal aid organizations?
Usually, so I started to type this, but I'll say it. We're at a Robert Frost moment, right? There's two paths that diverge in the woods. Okay. Do we continue to supply our staff with that plastic that go on their phone, that goes on their ear, right? The physical phone, or do we convert everyone to a soft phone? Look at what we're doing right now. There's 50 people on this call. Not one person has a phone like this. I think with the pandemic, as horrible as that was for humanity, from a technology point of view, it got us used to this environment. And what we're really seeing is, unless it's a mission critical phone, I work with a lot of healthcare organizations who still need physical phones for medical rooms and things like that. Most organizations, 80% of the people are like, I'll just take a soft phone. Tell you what, work, rather than pay $200 for a phone, give me a really good headset. Give me a really good headset. I do recommend, this is just me. If you're a call center person, a wired headset tends to be better than a wireless. With wireless, there's limitations of how many Bluetooth units can be in a room or whatnot. But for working from home, we don't deploy phones anymore for home workers. So therefore, there's nothing to physically plug in. And my laptop, it's wireless, hitting my cable modem. I do recommend, if you have like cable, whatever you have at home, check with your provider. They won't tell you when you're due for an upgrade. You have to ask them. So once a year, most providers will get you to the latest and greatest router at your house. So if you have the same router for the last 5 years, you might give them a call and ask for the upgrade, and that should be a no charge upgrade. You just have to, mail the old one back and receive the new one. So. But someone like, if you look at Fusion, I'm not going to single anybody, but Fusion, they have a secondary part of their business that handles business grade circuits and SD-WAN for the corporate office. So if you at corporate office and you're having some difficulty with voice quality today, you might want to talk to our friends at Fusion, where they offer an SD-WAN to help with voice quality. SD-WAN, that's a whole other topic for another day. But we work with great suppliers like Fusion that do not just the voice side, not the phone system side, but expand to the network side as well.
Yeah, especially if you're going in the app, like towards the cloud market, prioritization of certain cloud connections you can set up within your network. So yeah, don't want to take too much on that, but agree with Mike. We can definitely assist with that if needed.
So we have,
Jim had another
was-
question.
I was just going to say we had a question about integrating Zoom and Teams together and how it's working. And then there's also a question on how do you manage the technology barriers some users have with moving to a soft phone over the hard phone?
Yeah. It's a classic, pull this phone from my cold dead hand, right? You have some people, sometimes the easiest thing, gotta be careful here. Sometimes we've seen this happen where, okay, I'm going to buy you a physical phone for $200. 3 months later, I look at your desk and like, hey, where's that $200 phone I bought you? Well, it's in the drawer because now I just go soft phone so much easier, right? Dialpad, they had a marketing campaign a number of years ago called "Let's Kill the Desk Phone," and Michelle, you still support desk phones, right? But do you feel like you're a soft phone first company?
Yes, we're soft phone first.
Okay.
Our entire company, over 900 users, we don't use desk phones.
Yeah. So now, that being said, the desk phone is still important. We saw Fusion and Mitel, you guys actually make your own phones, right?
Yeah.
Right. So and Fusion said, yeah, if you go Microsoft, you can have a Microsoft phone or you can just do soft phone. Go to Zoom, they all support however you want to work. What I've done in the past is I worked with a pretty large university on a project, and we put out a survey. They surveyed, I don't know, about 400 or 500 people. They only got about 30 or 40 surveys back. You know how those surveys go, right? But they got some back, and a very small percentage wanted to keep a physical phone. Most of them said, if you provide a good headset, I'll just go soft phone. So, your user community better than anyone else. Don't let a supplier say, oh yeah, we just go soft phone only. Don't give in to that. If Mary and Bill and Bob, they still want the piece of plastic, just find out who they support, what vendors they support. You'll hear terms like Poly, used to be called Polycom, Poly, Yealink, Audio Code, Cisco, the Mitel, the usual suspects. So if people still want them, they're supported.
It's also, I find it's an age thing, and I can say this as a more senior member of the community. My children are like, why would you want one of those things on your desk? Where my husband and I are both of the opinion that one needs a large piece of black square plastic with a wired headset, because that's what we grew up with. So, but if you were to survey your organization, you'd likely find that the people who are under 35 are like, a laptop and a good headphone. I'm good. I don't need the desk phone. It's just one more piece of hardware.
It depends on the business. It depends. Mitel does a lot of work in hospitals. I was at a seminar once when one of the folks spoke, and he said, we love the Mitel phones because the way it's architected, it's always there. I mean, it doesn't fail. It doesn't go down. It's 100% up. It depends on the business, really, the vertical. And like me, this is fine. I got my mobile app, and I'm running around all over the place, and works perfectly well. But it depends on the environment, the business.
I don't think you can avoid phones all together, right? There's going to be common areas, common spaces, the lobby, the conference rooms. There's still going to be phones. It's just
warehouse floors.
School districts that have the classroom, they want the phones on the classroom. I handle the New York Department of Education. These phones have what they call multicast capabilities. So if you dial an extension, you want to broadcast out a message to 1,000 phones in the building, you can do it. And those messages will come across your mobile and desktop all over the place. We have a product called Revolution that can do that. But the phones have that capability. So if it's a school environment, they definitely want to rely on hardware on the wall. I hear it all the time. It depends on the practice and the business.
Yep, absolutely.
So Jim, I also wanted to say, it's kind of a training issue. So I would check with your provider and see what kind of videos and training they have for the members of your organization. You know, it may be that you you can say that, oh, that phone will be here in 3 weeks, and you kind of drag your feet about ordering it, you know, and you give them the training, and you may find that they adopt it because the phone's not available yet. So I would think that that's something that providers do, is provide videos on how to use their soft phone services.
Yep. And you could always blame the supply chain. That seems to be the de facto go-to. Well, we don't have that because of supply chain. I don't know what that means, but you can also take this approach. Hey, listen, we're going to get this new phone system implemented, but there's some supply chain issues right now where the phones are backordered by a couple weeks. So for the first couple weeks, you're going to have to use the soft phone before we can get the physical phones in. And I bet you wait 2 weeks, see if anybody's still complaining. Go back to those people like, hey, I can get those phones. Do you need one? No, this is fine. I'm good with that. Or you know what? I would really prefer that. So I'm not saying to lie, but I'm just saying to blame it on supply chain issues, see what happens.
And honestly, a little bribery can help. Of like, we'll be happy to get you a really, really good headset that you can work with. Use your laptop. You can have it here and there or whatever. Or we'll spend the money on a phone, and it's your choice as a user what you want. Many people are like, I could really use a nice headset. It would be really helpful and more than just my phone. So you can sell it, you know, depend on what you want, and you can sell it, and you can still have phones because, you know, there are people who want them, need them, and it's integral to their business, the way they do business, and we should honor that. People work really hard in your field, and they do a lot of good work, and you want them to be comfortable with the tools that they have, and that's kind of the job that we have to make that work.
Well, we have come to the end of our time. I really do appreciate all of the company representatives that were here, Mike B. and Amy, helping to get those representatives to join us. Mike Hernandez, all your work on organizing this meeting today. I hope that this has been helpful for the community. Would love to get feedback from the community on what worked, what didn't work, and how we can do things in the future. And moving forward, please let us know so we can help you out. Thank you everyone for being here, and the recording will be up on our YouTube channel. Today is Thursday. I might not get it up by tomorrow, but early next week it will be up and available. And we'll be providing those other resources that we mentioned throughout the program. So thank you so much. Michael Hernandez, did you have anything you wanted to say?
No, thank you, everybody. And yeah, Shelley, thank you for thinking of putting this together. I think this is great for LSNTAP to do for the community, and feel like the feedback will lead to doing more events like this.
So thank you so much. I'm going to stick around for a few minutes, but I'm going to end the recording, and I hope everyone has a pleasant afternoon.